forward to it. All right, and present. And there we go. All right, good morning. So today is February the 13th. This is our, like I said, our first SilkOut Pro certification in the new year, 2023. My name is Taming Golden. I'm the creator of the SilkOut hair care system. Let me do you guys a favor and turn on my camera. I'm talking about my hair earlier, and I'm like, my camera's not even on. So good morning. How are you guys doing? Okay, so let me go back to sharing. I was like, I feel kind of not present here. Okay, so let me go back to sharing the presentation. Share.
Tammy, your hair looks amazing. It has grown. Oh my God.
Yeah, it has grown. Thank you. And I just gave it a nice little trim as much as I could, but yeah, it has grown a lot. And I was sharing with them earlier about some products I'm testing, and I'll go into that a little bit later, but I feel like I need a cocktail. It does not feel its best right now, but we're going to get into that. All right, so welcome to the first certification of 2023. I've been editing, the presentation. So if you've seen it before, I promise you, you're going to hear and see something different, or it's going to add on to what you already know. And we have a nice group of people on here this morning. So we have some veterans like Justina and Gigi. Then we have I see some new faces on here. So it's always something to learn. And I'm always learning something. I'm always doing research. I'm always trying to find better ways to explain the product, to explain the science. Because sometimes people are just like, so what does it do, or what's different? So I'm always just digging deep and, trying to bring the most relevant information to the forefront. So for those who don't know me, my name is Taming Golden. I'm the creator of the SilkOut hair care system, founded in 2016. I am a licensed stylist of 32 years now. And I've basically taken all of my experience over those years from being a stylist behind a chair and having success with my clients with healthy hair and texture, as well as being an educator for different companies throughout my year, probably for over 20 years of my career. And then any consultant and anything that I've done with products that I love and just didn't always have an opportunity for me, I eventually decided to create my own hair care line that just exemplified, or the epitome of healthy hair. That's just my personal brand. When it came to the salon, I started out as someone who loved short hair and cutting. And for some reason, everyone's hair began to grow, and they saw growth that they've never had before, and they decided they wanted long hair. So from my first 2 years in the salon doing short hair to 5, 7, 10 years later, everybody had long hair. And that's who I became. And no matter how much I tried to get away from it, that's who I became. So by between year 10 and 15, I kind of accepted that. And then by year 25th year of my career, between 20 and 25, I kind of stepped into that and started to niche down to just healthy hair, the things that I did best, healthy hair, color, and things of that nature. A lot of trends come and go, but healthy, it starts with hair. So if we have no hair to work on, that can put us out of business, even though we're in a new era of extensions and hair accessories. But if we can address the hair that we have and help maintain it, then we can kind of avoid extensions and wigs being a necessity. They could just be an accessory. And so I've created this system that helps stylists restore and manage texture hair without the use of harsh chemicals, and also helping stylists to increase their value through our customized hair care regimens. Okay. Next slide. Hi, Fatima. Welcome. We just got started. So SilkOut system is based on 3 core values, and the first being the science of healthy hair, next being the business of healthy hair, so that you understand how to make money with the product. And then our third component is I'm passionate about stylists having success with SilkOut systems. So I don't just want to sell products. I like to think that I make an impact in the lives of the stylists who embody and use our product. And at our recent SilkOut Summit, So many of the stylists there shared how it impacted their bottom line, their numbers. And it also that impact had an impact on their household, their family life, and the quality of life that they were able to have. So that's kind of what I embody. That's kind of that is my vision for SilkOut system. But first, we're going to get into the science of SilkOut and healthy hair. We've all been to beauty school, but we can all use a refresher from time to time. And basically, this is going to help me build the case for how important the ingredients that I've chosen for this system, how important they are to healthy hair. And then we're going to have a Q&A at the end. So if you have any questions, just write them down so you don't forget, or type them in the chat, and then I'll scroll back through the chat and help you guys answer those questions. All right, so let's talk about the science of healthy hair. Healthy hair, we know this, is definitely a science. The internet has opened so many doors and opportunities for everyone to have a flat platform and talk about, you know, what they think is the secret and the magic and the quick grow and all of these things. And you know, so it's a lot of non-factual information. And we know that at the bottom line that this is a science. And as stylists, we know the things that we focus on to make sure that our client is getting the best out of their hair. And that's one, we know they got to have a healthy scalp. We know the porosity of the hair is important, as well as the elasticity of the hair. I should add that in there. The moisture and protein levels, if they're not balanced, it's going to show up in their hair. I feel like, thank you for compliment on my hair, but I know I need a cocktail. I just curled my hair and I didn't do a cocktail after my color. I only tested a bond builder. And it felt good the day of the color. Somebody has some background noise. Let's see. It felt good the day of the color, but today it doesn't feel good. So that builds my case for why bond builders are very temporarily, and to me they're like band-aids the day of the service, but after the service, to me they don't have a long-term function. Okay, so the moisture and protein levels need to be balanced. And then the client has a responsibility as well. Their diet, their health plays a big part in their hair results, as well as their hair habits or their hair choices, style choices, care choices, lack of care choices. All of those things can contribute to anything they could be experiencing, or if they feel like their hair isn't its best, then these are things that as a stylist, I always looked at first. If I saw a client having extreme issues with, seborrhea, and she couldn't keep it under control, but she comes every Saturday morning, and she's been to happy hour every night of the week, and I can smell alcohol through her pores. That's contributing to her scalp issues, because if she's having that much alcohol in her system, she's really unbalancing her body, and it's showing up. And she could agree that, yeah, whenever I'm drinking more, I have more flares. When I detox and, get my health balance, I have less flares. So it's a part of what they do too. A lot of people, everybody wants organic and all natural hair products, but then when it comes to their body, that's not what they're putting in their body, and they're expecting it to be an external thing. And to me, it should be a combination of both, managing what we put in, because the hair that our body creates, as you can see, and as we know in the cross section of the photo, it comes out of our body. We don't just plop the hairs into our head and then try to take care of them. Okay, so let's talk about this hair structure. Each strand of hair is made up of 95% keratin, a fibrous helicoidal protein shaped like a helix that forms part of the skin and other non-essential tissue in the form of body hair and nails. So when it says non-essential tissue, it basically means it's not necessary for your body to function. So it's not an organ, but it is definitely an adornment, and it does have its uses. It's kind of like it's a sensory, it's like a sensory tissue, so it kind of helps you sense certain things. Like when you have goosebumps on your arm, you can feel like the atmosphere is different and things of that nature. But people live every day without hair in the form of alopecia, so that's what it means by non-essential. It's not like if you don't have your hair, you know, it's detrimental to your life. That's why when we cut our hair, we don't feel it. It's not connected to nerve endings. It doesn't hurt when we cut our hair because it's a non-essential tissue, unless it's being pulled out of the scalp. Some 18 amino acids can be found in the hair, such as proline, threonine, leucine, and arginine. And keratin is particularly rich in cysteine, which is a sulfur-containing amino acid that is in our system, which forms the disulfide bonds between molecules and adds strength and resiliency to the entire strand of hair. Okay, so having cysteine is naturally found in the hair. So when you have a treatment that reinforces the hair with cysteine, it's like the perfect combination to put in the hair. There are 3 types of bond links that the proteins chain share, or that links the proteins together. We have the disulfide, the salt, and the hydrogen. The disulfide bonds are the strongest. They determine the texture of the hair, and they are the permanent bonds. They can be altered by chemicals and heat, excessive heat. The salt bonds, they are also contribute to the strength of the hair, and they are affected by the pH of products. And certain products, alkaline or acidic, depending where they are on the scale, they can actually cause the hair to be, Tammy, is she supposed to be? No, you guys aren't on the presentation? Oh, let me make sure I'm sharing the right screen. Okay. So what screen do you see now? Let me know. What screen do you see now? You should be seeing this screen that I'm on right now. Okay, sorry about that, you guys. Yeah, sorry about that. I did not know that. Okay, so back to the bonds. So I went through the disulfide bonds and then the salt bonds. So the styling products, so that's why a lot of times consumers end up with dry hair, damaged hair, weak hair, and they are chemical free because they don't realize that a lot of the styling products that they use are the alkalinity in them. They can have high pHs, so a lot of strong holding gels and edge controls. Although they're extremely effective, they can also be high alkaline and dry the hair out. And if they're not rebalancing their hair in between styles, so they're using edge control every day or 2 or 3 times a week, and they're only shampooing once a month, then they're not conditioning on a regular basis to help rebalance the pH. And if you go for long periods of time with the pH in the hair unbalanced, then it weakens the hair and leaves it suspect to breakage. Okay, next is the hydrogen bonds, which are temporary bonds that control the elasticity in the hair and helps with the moisture. Okay, and it helps control frizz, or frizz is affected by the hydrogen bonds and moisture levels, and they are altered each time water is introduced into the hair, and it reforms when we dry the hair. So for example, Justina does a lot of hair roller sets. So every time, so like my hair is straight, so my hydrogen bonds are set because I've blow dried and straightened my hair. When I wet my hair, I break the hydrogen bonds. That's why the hair reverts back to its natural or most natural texture. I have a Taming treatment now, but it's most natural texture. while it's wet, I'm able to shape either by doing rollers or blow dry, and whatever state that it dries in, that's why it takes on the shape that it dries in, because that's where the hydrogen bonds are. They take on that shape. They set the hair. If you put the rollers in it, when you comb it and brush it out, you slightly break it to style it, but it still is set in there until it either wears down after a week or two, or you go back and reintroduce water to the hair. So the bonds we are most concerned with in styling is the hydrogen bonds, breaking and reforming it, doing the styling, rearranging the curl pattern, whether we're doing a twist out, a flexi rod, shingle out, all of that is considered rearranging the curls temporarily during the styling. And when the hot hair dries, it sets the new form with styling. And then the moisture is reintroduced through shampooing the hair or working out or things like that, or getting wet in the rain. So, and that's something that we look to control when we're styling hair, because our customers, we don't have the leisure of shampooing and blow drying every day to have a perfect look. So when they come in the salon once a week or once every 2 weeks, they need that product, that they need that style to last. Okay, so let's talk about traditional straightening. So for many years, we've been straightening hair using a lot of different chemical methods. So a lot of ammonium, thioglycolate, we'll just say thio. And we know thio would embody like our permanent waves, our Jerry curls or carefree curls or wave nouveau or whatever product you have used or currently use now. Believe it or not, I speak with stylists who are reintroducing thio as an option for some of their clients. It is, and it's working for them. Potassium hydroxide, sodium hydroxide, those are our relaxers, traditional relaxers. Calcium hydroxide, those are relaxers as well. Those, they usually have an activator. So you mix one part with the other to activate the product and apply it and get the results. And then lithium hydroxide, these are forms of relaxers as well. The ones I'm most familiar with is sodium and calcium. Okay, and I'm not anti-relaxer or anti-anything if you know how to deliver the service properly and maintain the integrity of the hair, because I've done all of these services and maintain the integrity of the hair. So these are common, but can be harsh chemicals on the hair, and they do disrupt the disulfide bonds and generally have pHs greater of 10. And in the acidic cases, sometimes they're lower than 2 or 3. Okay, so we know the healthy hair on the pH scale is between 4.5 and 5.5. So we don't want to go too low without balance, and we don't want to go too high without balance. Wherever you go, you still have to bring that balance back. And even though we were taught that 7 is neutral on the scale, but for hair, it is between that 4.5 and 5.5 range. Okay, keratin treatments, although they do not disrupt the disulfide bond aggressively. Sandra. They do not disrupt the bond aggressively. They have been known, some, I'm not going to name any brands, but some, when they first entered the marketplace, some were known to have toxic ingredients and were unsafe for stylists and consumers. Okay. So let's talk about thermal restructuring of the hair. So we are now in an age where people have embraced their texture, and they some are straight out natural, which is fine. I've been at both ends of the stick, and then we're at a phase where people are like, well, yeah, I like my curls, but I like a little bit softer. I like a little bit more manageably, or I don't necessarily want a relaxer anymore, but I still want the best control I can get, but I'd rather have a more gentler product or less chemicals? How can I get away from the chemicals but have the same manageability? Or how can I have my curls and still wear silk press and reduce reversion? Like, we want the best of both worlds, and that's what makes our industry so in demand, because everyone wants the opposite of what their hair doesn't do. Straight hair clients want texture, texture wants straighter, and everybody wants the balance of both, and to be able to go in between, back and forth. So that's what makes us relevant. So with these treatments, we have found, and so when I was first, so I'm gonna speak from my standpoint, when I was first introduced to these treatments, I was just told it was a way to seal the cuticle, to get a better blow dry, that it wasn't altering the curl pattern, that it made the hair smoother but not straighter. And based on my experience, and I've been dealing with keratins for over 12 years, it did make the hair straighter, which was fine once I realized that's what it could do. And then I realized that even though it was straighter, it wasn't damaged, and it wasn't a harsh straightening, and it wasn't destroying the disulfide bonds. It wasn't destroying the strand. It was able to give me 30, 40, 50% straighter hair, but the hair remained in integrity. And I'll get into that in just a minute. So we can soften the bonds with that while infusing proteins, amino acids, and other ingredients into the hair that softens, strengthens, and repairs the hair. So to me, it's like, if you needed open heart surgery and you're like, well, I don't want to get cut. Well, you're going to have to take that cut in order for the doctor to go in and fix everything that they need to fix. But they're also going to repair your hair and repair your body, I should say, on the way out. So they're not going to go in and fix your hair and leave you with a wound. They're going to go in and fix what they need to fix, and then they're going to seal you back up and put you, so that, everything's back intact. If that's a good analogy. Maybe that's not a good analogy. So in most keratin treatments, the hair is filled with protein, and then there's an active bonding agent that in some cases may omit a formaldehyde. I know some companies have been trying to reduce the amount of formaldehyde, but any formaldehyde, and that's a whole nother story, because there's a lot of products and things that we use on a regular basis, and foods that naturally have a formaldehyde in them. But when it comes to styling and servicing your client, and for us behind the chair, we don't want to overexpose ourselves to things that can be detrimental to our health. So this protein generally fills the cuticle and is sealed with a bonding agent for shiny and more manageable hair. And so I think everyone fell in love with that. Less frizz. It appeared sleeker. And but what I found is that most keratin treatments are more surface. They're more the cuticle, but they're not addressing the strength of, they did not address the strength of the internal strand. So they look good, 8, 9, 10, 12 weeks. Once that cuticle started to reopen, the frizz came back. There was nothing left in the hair that kept the hair, looking in its best health. Okay. So thermal restructuring, which is smoothing treatments, keratin treatments, amino acid treatments, cysteine treatments, are deemed a safer alternative to managing texture and enhancing the integrity of the hair. So would they be considered chemicals? Cysteine would be, everything is considered a chemical. Water is considered a chemical. If it's on the elements chart, it's a chemical. But is it safe? Is it gentle, or is it toxic? And so these products generally have been deemed safer, especially with, they have these big class action suits going on with relaxers now. And, and the relaxer has been demonized probably over the last 10 years since the whole curly movement came about. And once again, I'm not anti anything. I think the misuse of relaxers and the relaxer being in the wrong hands has been the most detriment to that audience, because everyone thinks, well, all you got to do is put it on. And no, there is a science to, and a technique, a proper way to apply it. There are variables. As stylists, we know who gets the relaxer and who doesn't. We know we're not going to bleach our relaxer clients or relax our bleach clients, put it like that. We know that, you know, certain variables that are going on with the customer, we're not going to do. And that client needs to be in the salon getting their hair maintained. You don't get your hair softened and then return home to put ponytails in your hair and, you know, with no care and not keeping that hair conditioned. It is everyone that tells me the relaxer took their hair out, with once they tell me their lifestyle or how they maintained it, etc., or that they did it themselves, I don't want to hear about it. And if you were going to a stylist and it was, you know, wasn't working out for you, then that may be an issue with the stylist. But now we have other alternatives. And so as some people just our clients, I had clients when I was behind the chair who were like, look, I can't imagine life without my relaxer. There's clients I've tried to introduce treatment to, and they're like, look, this works for my lifestyle. I'm active, I work out a lot. When I shampoo my hair, it needs to be very easy for me to do. I cannot fight. She said, I've never even seen my natural texture, so I can't imagine, you know, having to do my own hair. And even with her relaxer, she was like, even when I do this myself, it's a chore. So I appreciate, one, my salon service, and just when I have to do it myself, it has to be as easy as possible. It's not an option for me to wake up. She's in a professional environment. She needs to be on her A game all the time. So there are those consumers that still want and need some type of, you know, altering to their curl pattern because it works for them. So it's not about picking a side. I'm natural, I'm not natural. You know, we don't need to be at war with our hair. But we now have healthier alternatives to supporting our customers. So with that being said, as stylists, and I hope you guys don't do this, we don't categorize hair by numbers and letters. So as professionals, our first focus is, hold on one second. Our first focus in hair health, we measure it by porosity and elasticity. So when someone sits in my chair, the first thing I'm looking at is what's the condition of the hair. And after 32 years, my eye is very trained so I can spot on determine, one, if it's porous. Two, once I shampoo it, that lets me know what state the strand is in, if it, you know, how weak it is, and it really lets me know how dry it is, because I can see that it's not retaining water, I can see that it's weak, I can see that it's shedding. That's why it's really hard to really do a full consultation until you do the shampoo. You know, I've had clients say, oh, well, what are you going to do to me? Well, let's get you shampoo first. Let's get your hair clean. Let's get all this butter, build up, styling products, edge control off of your hair so that I can really see what your hair is doing. And I can feel it in I guess you could say naked without any product on it. Then I can determine what the conditioning regimen is. Second, we identify hair through certain characteristics, which is the texture, which is the shape, straight, curly, or coily. People like to say African American hair, black hair, white hair, Asian hair. You know, especially in the extension world, everything is labeled by, you know, region, but it's actually hair. And African Americans or Africans may have a similar texture for the most part, but don't be deceived that every person of African descent has the exact same texture. I've seen a multitude of textures in a multitude of races. And so I know without a shadow of a doubt that it's not just all one race has all one type of hair. Also, we identify hair via the density of the hair. Somebody is making some noise. Okay, we identify hair through the density of the hair, meaning how thick the strand is, and then how many strands of hair they have on their head. Someone can have medium strands and have a lot of medium strands. Someone can have medium strands and have not a lot of density. There's not a lot of strands on their head. So that means there's not as much hair per diameter, of the scalp. Someone could have fine hair and it'd be a lot of fine hair. And then somebody could have fine hair and it not be a lot of fine hair, so it looks thinner. So you can have someone with a lot of fine hair. It may look thick when it's curly or coily, and then when you blow dry it out, it's very fine. You can have someone with coarse hair and a thick diameter of hair and lots of thick hairs on their head. Or you can have someone with a thick diameter of hair, considered coarse, and maybe have a medium density over their scalp. So we come in all color, shape, sizes, and our hair does the exact same thing. So we can't box ourselves into just the shape. It's more than just the shape of the hair. And you even see people selling products based on the shape of the hair. And it's, to me, the shape doesn't matter as much as the condition of the hair, the top two, porosity and elasticity. Those determine functionality, the longevity of the strand, and how the hair is going to perform to other products and other chemical services. And then we identify hair by color. Naturally, certain races have a certain color, but do not be fooled. We are such a melting pot. There are people, and when I taught color for L'Oreal, we did intense training, and you actually can determine the color of the hair based on the color of the eye. The color of the eye determines the color of the hair, and based on certain regions from which our ancestors come from. I've seen people with African descent that have Irish in their bloodline, and they have red hair, freckles, etc. So we can't put everyone in the same box, but color is one of those things that's a natural hair characteristic, and all of these things in the second portion are things that we work on in the salon. So we color hair because people with black want brown or blonde, and some people with brown want black, and people with thick hair, sometimes they're like thin it out or make it, reduce the volume. People with thin hair make it thicker. People with straight hair, they want curls. People with curls want straight. So that keeps us busy. Okay. And so all of these last three things are determined by the DNA. It's not, yes, we can do external things that are temporary, but you can't change the texture, the natural texture that grows out of the scalp, because they're born with it. And this is how we identify hair by sight, because we're born with these characteristics and we alter them with chemicals, and styling products to get the desired result that the customer wants. So I think as stylists, if we can embody this and speak this and not let the consumer world control the conversation around texture, we can keep it simplified. And this whole conversation around texture was to help manufacturers communicate with consumers better, because they had really no way to educate them. So they gave them a number and a letter and put them in a box. And even though they all a lot of times they picked the wrong box. Everybody's like, I'm 4C, and they may have a very coily strand, but it's a very fine strand. So they think, oh, I need a lot of heat, my hair. And what really makes what I don't like is that a lot of people love to identify the coiliest hair as the most hardest texture to deal with. And it's just simply because they don't understand how to deal with it. It is probably one of the most fragile, finer textures you'll find in people with African descent, because it's so coily. Usually the bigger the curl, the more thicker the diameter of the hair and the more stronger the strand is. The tighter the curl, I found to be much more finer and much more softer and fragile to actually work with. So people mistake that hair, especially if it's not blow dried properly. They blow dried it, it still has a lot of texture left in it. So they want to use high heat to smooth it out. And if you smooth it out properly with the blow dry, you wouldn't need as much heat just based on what it looks like. It's also the feel and understanding the density and the diameter of that strand. All right, so let's get into SilkOut systems taming treatment. So I hope I've been building this case. So we're gonna get into a little bit more science. So cysteine, compound already found in the hair that makes up 40% of the hair's natural protein composition. It restores strength and reduces curl patterns safely up to 60% on curly to coily hair and 70% on straighter hair types. It mimics the natural cysteine found within the hair that strengthens and is a natural smoothing agent. And this is something new I've added because I'm going to explain this in just a second. So cysteine is in our SilkOut taming treatment, also alpha hydroxy acid, which forms a molecular interaction between the hydronic and saline bonds of the hair, so the hydrogen and salt bonds. So remember, we have 3 main bonds that we focus on. The cysteine addresses the strength. The alpha hydroxy acid addresses the hydrogen and the salt bonds and helps to realign the hair, rebalance the hair. It renews the hair by offering protection, manageability, moisture correction, and prevents breakage in both healthy and chemically or damaged hair, and it acts as an antioxidant. So if you've used these treatments already, you know what that looks and feels like, and your customers do too. It also corrects a porosity and balances the moisture and elasticity. So you're fighting the hair on all 3 components of what really, the 3 bonds that go into forming the hair, the 3 main bonds. There's other sub layers to those bonds, but those are the 3 main bonds. The treatment consists of botanical-based ingredients. So sugarcane cysteine is a botanical-based ingredient. Alpha hydroxy acid is citrus-based, so it's comprised of lemon, tea extracts, a host of other citrus extracts that put this product together, where we get the acidity from. And then the combination of these ingredients and the other additives like the shea butter, cocoa butter, argan oil, acai oil, adds that extra layer of nourishment that I was not able to find in any other treatment that I used, especially on textured hair. So when I used to use keratin treatments and other amino acid treatments, it always felt dry. Now I was able to compensate for that, putting my own concoctions together, but I was never satisfied with the results alone. And of course, with SilkOut, I'm completely satisfied. So this combination of ingredients offers innovative, eco-friendly, and a healthy alternative for hair straightening that won't compromise the integrity of the hair. So when we're straightening the hair with the cysteine or smoothing the hair with the cysteine, it's rearranging the disulfide bond, but it is not altering the structure of it. And I'll get into that shortly. Due to the low molecular weight of these ingredients, meaning they're very, very high quality and refined, it is able to penetrate to the cortex of the hair. So it repairs damage, restores strength, corrects moisture, preserves the hair deep inside the strand, unlike conventional conditioners, and has longer lasting results than artificial bond builders. Remember I said I used a bond builder in my color earlier this week, and it felt good at the time of the color. A week later, I need a cocktail because that did not last long. Okay. All right. So the importance of cysteine. Cysteine is the oxidized form of the amino acid cysteine, which is a white solid, slightly soluble in water. It is the main source of protein found in hair, skin, and nails. And its mechanical linkage that allows protein to retain its 3D shape. Cysteine helps to rebuild disulfide bonds and reinforces the structure of the strand. It is important because it it creates the bridge that that is formed by the cysteine and is a permanent component of any primary protein structure. Cysteine cannot be replaced by any other amino acid. When heated, cysteine, so this is key right here. When heated, so everybody asks, well, how does it straighten it? Like, we're used to take the relaxer out, put it on the hair, watch it break down the hair. Okay, a little smoothing, we're breaking down hair. This is not how this works. So you could put this on the hair and let it sit on the hair. You can comb and brush and comb and brush. It's going to feel good. You're going to have a lot of slip, but it's not going to break down the hair because that's not the science. Yes, it's a cream, but it's not the science. And we've been conditioned that just put the product on the hair and it breaks down the hair. Well, why does relaxer do that? Because the sodium hydroxide actually swells the hair and begins to soften and break down the bonds of the hair. Cysteine only is activated by heat. So hence me saying thermal restructuring of the hair. When the cysteine is heated, meaning when you flat iron it, even with a blow dry, you'll get a very little, and that's why one of our techniques only requires a blow dryer. But for the most part, the technique is to smooth the hair with the flat iron that activate the cysteine in the hair that reforms the disulfide bonds to create and create that new shape while the hair is straight. But at the same time, it reshapes the bond, it reforms the bond, but it also reinforces the bond. So it reshapes it and strengthens it at the same time to maintain the integrity of the hair. Does that make sense to you guys? Am I explaining that right? I mean, it's simplified, where it's making sense. Type in the chat. So cysteine is eco-friendly once again, and the results are safer and a healthier alternative for softening texture. I don't even want to say relaxer. I mean, sometimes in marketing we say a relaxer alternative, but it's not a relaxer. Linda said yes. Gigi said yes. Okay, so yes. So I like that. It does reform the bond. That allows us to reduce the curl pattern, but at the same time, it's reinforcing it. So it's not putting the hair at risk for breakage like a relaxer does. And although you can come behind a relaxer and tighten it, this is kind of all in one step, so you're not overly exposing the hair, and you don't have to break the hair all the way down. You can just, I don't know how to, I'm trying to create a visual. But each time you use this product, the hair gets stronger and stronger. And so if you just let this product sit on the hair, it's going to be a great conditioning treatment, but it's not going to smooth the hair or anything unless you put that heat to it. So when I got a phone call a couple months ago, or a text message from a stylist who said he did a silkening treatment, or his customer did a silkening treatment, and all of her curls disappeared, I was like, how? What did she do? What was the process? And he said, well, we got her on the phone, and she said, I applied it. I watched a YouTube video, I applied it. And when I rinsed it out, this is what my curls looked like. All my curls were gone. So me knowing the science of how this product works, I'm like, did you blow dry? Did you flat iron your hair? Did you do something? And she was like, no, I didn't do anything. Later on in the conversation, it came out that she had steamed her hair. She had steamed her hair for like 30 minutes, which to me, the steam overswelled her cuticle. But I still wasn't convinced that all of her curl was lost. Yes, on the picture, her curl was looser, but she also had got some corrective coloring. Her initial picture where her curls, her hair had a lot of red in it and blonde on the ends. The picture after, her hair was a whole different base color. They had removed all the red, and she had a whole full head of woven, beautiful woven blonde, like level 9, 10 blonde highlights on like a level 7 base. When the picture she showed me with all the curls had like a level 5, 6 base with some red in it, and then some on the ends was like a level 7, 8 with a little orange in it. So I think a lot of what broke down her hair was the color, because I know what it takes to correct that color to get it that beautiful. So color compromises the hair as well. And I think the steaming, if she did steaming for 30 minutes, steaming also can overswell. Even though it's water, water is a chemical, and the steaming can overswell the hair as well. Okay, so the treatment, just going back over the ingredients, is amino acid, sugarcane cysteine, glycolic acid, alpha hydroxy acid, acai oil, argan oil, cocoa butter, citrus extracts, and they help restore, rebuild, restore moisture, help smooth frizz. You can do curl reduction. It's formaldehyde free and fume free. We have a single process application, but we actually have a multitude of applications, and I'm going to get into those in a second. And a treatment, if done properly, on average lasts about 4 to 6 months. We have a refresher treatment that we recommend in between that doesn't introduce any more smoothing, but it introduces all of the, because you're putting the same ingredients in the hair, but we're not using it to smooth the hair. We're just refreshing all of those qualities so that they can maintain the treatment and keep it balanced. It increases the lifespan of the treatment. So that's where the regimen-based care comes in. Let's say if a treatment someone goes 4 months. And I remember when I first was tested, the first year, I tested the product for a year to measure it against what I was already using. But what I was already using, I was using 2 treatments. I was using a foam amino acid that barely lasts 6 to 8 weeks. And then I was using a top keratin product that was lasting up to about 3 months. Well, once I started using this, I was like, I looked up and it was almost 5 months before my clients were even asking, and before we realized we had enough regrowth to actually do something else with, or I feel like I need something on my hair. And so that immediately was like, okay, I can just get rid of these other 2 products. And I was able to position my treatment above what I was already using from those results. And then when I started to introduce the cocktail, which is the refresher, my clients were going 6 to 8. They go 6 to 8 months sometimes without a treatment, especially if they're curly clients, about 6 to 8 months. I personally I did my last Taming treatment in February of 2022. I did cocktails all year long. And then I had a Taming treatment about 3 weeks ago with another product I was testing. I didn't really care for that, nor did this bond builder they wanted me to test. I didn't care for any one of those. So I'm getting a cocktail the next time I shampoo my hair. So once your clients are getting this service, it is you may find you're only doing the actual Taming treatment maybe twice a year. If there's someone who wears their hair straight a lot, maybe twice a year, 2 to 3 times a year. So it's really a premium service. And then the other services in between, the maintenance and the restorative cocktail. So really quickly, these are the components that we recommend that you use when you're doing the treatment. And we've already kind of built a case for the cysteine and how it works. But it has to penetrate into the hair, which our cysteine, our taming cream is, like I said, it has a low molecular weight, so it easily absorbs into the hair. So we don't have to swell the hair for it to go in. We just have to clarify the hair, which with our clarity, which is about a pH of 8. So it's high enough to open the cuticle through a couple of shampoos, but not too high where it's going to overswell the cuticle and make the hair unable to comb or separate. But it's just, we want to get the buildup off of the hair. And then the actual Taming treatment, which is acidic protein, which is 2.5. And that's what makes it strengthen and tighten the hair, the acidity. And then we follow that with the Keramass, which is the moisture that helps balance out all of that protein that is in that treatment. It's very concentrated protein in the Taming treatment, very potent. And so it's important to have the Keramass to rebalance the pH. If you're not using the Keramass when you do the treatment, you are leaving the hair in the low pH. And if you're using a different moisturizer, I really can't vouch for if it's enough moisture for the treatment, because I do see a lot of people reorder treatment alone by itself. And I often wonder, what moisture are they using? What are they using for moisture when they just order treatment all year long and nothing else? So the Keramass, which is the intense moisture, is used after the treatment to rebalance the pH of the hair. It can also be used as a standalone moisturizing treatment. Very great as a standalone moisture. Very great after color or after any chemical service or relaxer service. And then the SilkOut serum, which is a finishing product, but it's a protectant. It's a heat protectant and a leave-in moisturizer that also is keeping that hair in the perfect pH. And then the VitaSilk, which is a nourishing oil serum, it can be used within the Taming treatment to add more nourishment to the hair. And it can be used as a finishing or part of your styling program. Sometimes I mix SilkOut serum, a couple drops with my SilkOut serum before I blow dry. Sometimes I put a couple drops. I recommend a couple drops in the treatment before you apply, or you're applying the VitaSilk to the hair. Because the VitaSilk is oil-based, does not have a pH, because there is no water, there's no hydrogen potential hydrogen inside of the VitaSilk. So oils don't have a pH. Any questions, you guys? And then for maintenance, we recommend our Balance Wash and Balance Conditioner that helps to maintain a great balance of moisturizing cleanser, and our Balance Conditioner is an instant conditioner. After you do the treatment, unless their hair was in extremely bad shape, you can manage with the Balance Conditioner until about 8-10 weeks. Then you may find yourself needing a cocktail to refresh it, but the Balance Conditioner is a great weekly back bar conditioner for your client, of course, and the SilkOut serum. Okay, any other questions, you guys? And I'm gonna switch over. I'm gonna go over the techniques on the different techniques we have that you can apply to the treatment.
Tammy.
Yes.
I don't know if this is was probably coming up, but how soon after you do if my terminology is correct, how soon after you do a cocktail treatment that you can go do a curl softening or a taming or a maximum curl reduction?
Good
Say
question.
if a person, okay.
You can do it at any time. But why are you saying the person maybe started out and they tried the cocktail and then they decided
Yes.
more? Oh, they can do it at any time. I've done it a week later.
Okay.
I've had a lot of new clients come in and they've heard about the Taming treatment, but they're unsure. They're sitting on the fence, and they'll start with the cocktail.
Yes.
And they're like, okay, I like the way that feels, but I still had a little bit of swelling. then they know they're okay. I want some softening.
Gotcha.
So the
Okay.
cocktail is more so for conditioning and reconditioning the hair.
Right.
And then the actual full treatment is where they're going to get into softening and managing that texture.
Okay.
But it's a
And then
great
also,
intro to
yes. Okay, good.
start.
And then also, I know you said that the taming system could last anywhere from 4 to 6 months. You said some people it's lasting longer. So then, if that's the case and a person is wanting to do a refresh, how do you determine, or when is it that you would go in and do a refreshing treatment within the course of the time of the, whether it's the 4 to 6 or 6 to 8 months?
So about 8 to 10 weeks.
Okay.
Some of them 12, depending on how regular that they are. But by 8 to 12 weeks, you'll start to feel it doesn't like get dry or anything, but you'll start to see a little bit of the difference. Maybe the frizz may start to come back. That's
Mhm.
because the sugar cane helps to seal the cuticle. Well, that's going to wear off from everyday wear and tears, styling, wearing products, gels, whatever, shampooing, that eventually wears off. So about 10 weeks to do that refresher cocktail. If you've done that before, it makes the treatment feel brand new again. It doesn't
Okay.
address the regrowth, but at 10 to 20
Right.
weeks, we're not in the age where we're addressing every quarter of an inch of hair anymore. We can blow dry that hair out and stretch it out to get the results. And even if they have a quarter inch or inch of regrowth, that cocktail helps to soften it enough to where you can get a good blow dry and still get a good finishing on that hair.
Okay, great. Thank you.
It's more so my curly clients that would go like 8 months, 6 to 8 months, because
Right.
they're not even straightening their hair, but they're noticing my curls are performing better, less frizz. And so when they use a lot of products on their hair, so they're mousses, gels, and things on a regular basis. So when they start to see that swell, or the product is not controlling their hair as well, then I've trained them to, okay, it's time to come back in and freshen that back up, because they like the control. And through educating them that this corrects the porosity, and that's their key word in their world right now, is they either have low or high porosity, but none of the products that are promoted never address rebalancing the porosity. They're just basically promoting a heavy concoction of oils and products to weigh the hair down to try to get the appearance of the porosity to look better. And what I've been pushing to educate them on is that we're correcting the porosity so that you don't have to put tons of products on your hair to weigh it down. It will
Right.
the cuticle will constrict back and your hair be in great shape and your curls will look better.
Awesome. Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to switch screens to the technique guide so you guys can follow me through there. Let's see. Okay, where is the technique? It's right here. Okay, so can you guys see this screen?
Yes.
Okay, great. So this is available on the website. If you go under Taming, a tab that says Taming System, and then a drop down, it should have the it should say Taming Technique Guide. So you will see this there. So basically it talks about our product, but you can actually always visit it anytime, or you can download it and maybe laminate it and have it in your back bar. But so I'm going to talk about several techniques. These are the top 3 that I use the product for. So the basic, our general technique, or basic smoothing technique, which is a 1-step process application, gave this particular customer curl reduction. Very minimal, but she got the definition of the curl. This was after her silk press. And actually her mom sent me the picture to the right and said that it didn't work. And I was like, what do you mean it didn't work? And I said, send me a picture of her hair. And this is the picture she sent me. So I immediately did a side by side, and I was like, you don't see the difference in her hair? She had very zigzag curls, very coarse, dense hair with thick diameter strands. And when her mom brought her in, she was adamant on not losing any curl pattern. So I did the basic smoothing technique, and I probably did about 2 to 3 passes on about 450 heat, and this was her after results. And then to the right, this is the curl softening with definition. I believe this is just a cocktail. It just shows how much the hair is reinforced just with the cocktail service on a wash and go client, how much better her curls looked. And without having a full on treatment, she was able to get definition to her hair. So we have some clients who are not interested in smoothing or doing anything, but when we start to talk restorative care and repair, which a lot of companies are jumping into the repair arena now, but I've still yet to find any that have the longevity and the most intensity that our treatment has. And they're definitely marketing towards the texture hair community when it comes to curls and straight hair. But I still find it to just be a Band-Aid. To the bottom, max curl reduction, which I'll get into that technique, is for someone who definitely wants more control of their hair. And believe it or not, the picture where it says basic smoothing and then max curl reduction, that's the same person. On the max curl reduction, her mother was like, now she's like, okay, now that I see what is done, I want more curl reduction. So she came back in about a month later, and this was her before when I shampooed it. And then we did the max curl technique, the max curl reduction, and this was the after. So you can see the two differences in the finish from just the general technique, the general smoothing, and the max curl reduction is a big difference. And she has a lot of thick hair. So when people worry about, am I going to lose all of my curls? It depends on density and how much heat you use. And the technique that you use, that plays a part as well. Okay, so let's go with technique number 1 is curl softening. So let's say if you had a customer who was natural, she is interested, curious about what could she do to control some frizz, but she doesn't want to alter her curls. This would be a great technique for her, in which you would clarify the hair first, step 1, 2 to 3 shampoos to get all of the product and build up and styling product off. I always say section for control into 4 to 6 sections if you have to. 8, I've had clients where I've needed 8 sections because that's just how much hair they had. And I personally work better in sections, and when I can move faster when I've broken the hair down into sections, and sections I can control. You can apply a few drops of the VitaSilk to the actual treatment or the hair. And then you can begin to apply the treatment through the hair sparingly, because you don't want any excess with the product. The product absorbs easily into the hair. So I always recommend starting with an ounce of treatment and adding a half an ounce to an ounce as needed to your application bowl as you go, so you don't overuse any product. Because this particular treatment, the technique, the treatment will be blow dried into the hair, then you want to use it sparingly, because when you go to blow dry it, if it's too much treatment residue on the hair, it can begin to smoke, and you don't want that smoking effect. Okay, so you comb the treatment through, apply it, and then you section it so that you can blow dry it. This is the only heat that this treatment is going to have, is blow drying. So remember, as I mentioned earlier, the cysteine can soften, can reform the bonds with heat, but heat is not enough. Blow drying is not enough heat to completely break down the hair more than 10%, but it is enough to help soften the cuticle so that it lays down a lot better and they get more definition. So you blow dry this treatment in. I suggest you start with cool heat to prevent smoking. And once the hair is actually dry, then you can intensify the heat to get a firm, dry and smoothing of the hair with the blow dryer, whether you use a brush or a comb attachment or whatever tool you use to dry the hair. This would be a great way to introduce heat to the hair, to actually activate the treatment enough to gently just soften that top cuticle layer of the hair. It is not going to break the bonds down and you're going to have stringy pieces. And so you just may go back and forth for about 5 minutes once it's actually dry and you're now using heat to actually smooth each section out. And then once you've completed that drying process, then you do not flat iron them, because you're not looking to soften the curl, to reduce the curl pattern, just to soften it gently. You rinse them very well with warm water. Then apply your care mask, comb through it, let it sit up to 10 minutes with or without heat. And then you rinse well, towel dry, and apply your SilkOut serum and style your curly style of choice. This technique came about when my hair was really short. It wasn't long enough to do a Taming treatment, but my hair was so hard and brittle at the time, and I just wanted some type of relief. So I was like, well, I'm gonna just blow dry it in and see if I can get it to soften up. And yes, it did. My curls, when I rinsed out the care mask and put my styling product on, there was a definite definition and highly moisturized, and it looks so much better. And because we're not using the flat iron to actually seal and smooth this hair, it lasts probably about 6 to 8 weeks. So by the time it grew out a little bit, you know, I had room to do another one. Actually, I didn't even need it, but it only lasts about 6 to 8 weeks. And now, could this be done with longer hair, or let's say kids' hair that don't get silk pressed, but they just get blow dried, conditioned ponytails or something, but they need more manageability? This could be done with them as well, and it can reduce breakage in their hair. This can also be done on beards, because beards, people are not conditioning their beards, so they can tend to break. No, this is not the cocktail, Fatima. Good question. This is not the cocktail. So this is all treatment, blow dried in and smooth, you know, nice tension. Like I said, whatever you're using, a brush or Denman brush, paddle brush, or a comb attachment, especially in the root area, you can get a little softening, which may be all some people need. And then you rinse that well, and then follow with the care mask. And then, you know, ideally they're going to wear their hair style, you know, wash and go. But let's say if it was a kid, or you're going to do braids, you could blow dry it and proceed with braids, or blow dry it and do ponytails and barrettes. So no, this is not the cocktail. I'll get into that soon. All right, the next application is the most common one that I mentioned on the picture earlier, is the basic smoothing application, in which we clarify 2 to 3 times, get it sectioned, 4 to 6 sections. Either apply a little of your Vitasilk to the hair. Sometimes when you clarify, you cannot quite separate the hair if their hair is extremely porous. And let's just address that. I had a client call me. She was doing the silkening treatment at home, and she says, oh, once I shampooed it, it was impossible to comb. And she says, it dried my hair out and I don't like it. I don't like the shampoo. And so when their hair is dry after shampooing, it's because their hair is dry. It's because they need they really, really need some restoration in their hair, a cocktail or a care mask. And so what the clarity does is expose that the hair is really, really dry already. The clarity does not strip the hair of any natural oils. It's just that she had so much butters and styling products on her hair because her hair was dry. When she shampooed it all off, she didn't like the way it felt. But I assured her, just complete the treatment and that will help to correct that issue. Okay, so we're going to clarify a little Vital Silk either on the hair or in the drops, or in the bowl. Apply the treatment sparingly, comb through for even distribution. If you can see the white as you're combing through and it's on your comb or brush, you're using too much. The hair is going to absorb the treatment like putting a drop of water on a paper towel. So you don't have to overly saturate the hair. You will know where the hair needs more treatment as you're applying a little bit. I kind of dap my product down the strand of the hair, the section. And so that as I'm combing and brushing through, I'm getting even distribution. And then if I need more when I get to the ends, then I add a little more. But to put a whole gob on there and then you're like, you have too much product, well, you can't reuse it, and then you're going to just rinse it down the sink. That's a waste of money. Apply the treatment, put a plastic cap on. You can process up to 30 minutes room temperature. If you have hair that is extremely dry, undernourished, malnourished, like those clients, I haven't been to the salon in 5 years, or I just came out of braids and it's been a year, you can give them 15 minutes of heat up to 30 minutes, especially if it's extremely dense, coarse, thick hair. 30 minutes is going to, and if it's their first treatment and they're looking for results, you're looking for results, 30 minutes under the dryer will definitely help to soften and get the best penetration of that. Even though the molecular weight is very fine in those denser type hair, I just do the heat for about 15-30 minutes. After it processes, cools off, rinse thoroughly with warm water, and very thoroughly because it's a cream. So you want to rinse really, really well. And then once it's rinsed well, towel dry and apply the care mask, comb it through, allow it to sit up to 10 minutes with or without heat, rinse well, towel dry, and proceed to style. We recommend the SilkOut serum for protection, blow dry, and then of course the treatment is heat activated. So you're going to do your passes on anywhere from, it says 400 to 450. And if you have someone with really fine hair, maybe even 380, the amount of passes you do determine how much reduction you have and the size of your passes. So if you have very dense, thick hair and you're, if you have very dense hair on a customer and they want minimal reduction, then you can take thicker sections and minimal passes and control your heat. But if it's someone with thick, coarse hair and they're like, look, help me get as much control as I can get, but I don't want a relaxer, then you're going to take smaller passes, maximum heat, smaller sections, and then more passes. But our treatment, 1 to 4 passes max, because those treatments that need 8, 9, 10, 12, 15 passes, it's because they're dealing with heavy keratin molecules. And those amount of passes is to force the protein into the hair. When you're using our treatment, as soon as you apply it, it absorbs into the hair. So we're using the heat to activate the cysteine to reform the shape and reinforce the hair. Say you may have someone with fine curly hair, but it's extremely frizzy and it's hard to get definition when she styles. Then you may use the heat at 400 and do one smooth pass all the way down. And you don't have to ride it for a whole bunch of seconds, just one even stroke all the way down. Someone has some, got some background noise. Okay. All right, so that's the basic technique. So once you finish your passes, then if you're gonna add curls, you can always turn your heat down to go back and add a few curls, larger sections, or if you're just gonna, they're gonna wear straight, they'll be perfectly fine. If they go swimming or what, like they don't have to wait, there's no curing time where how soon before they can shampoo, etc. They're not gonna wanna do that because they just got their hair done, but there's no restrictions with what they do next with their hair in terms of swimming or things like that. Now, if they do go swimming, we do recommend the care mask to, you know, refresh their hair if they go swimming. And then if they swim a lot or active a lot and shampoo a lot, then they definitely need a cocktail at about 6 to 8 weeks to help keep that hair in balance. At minimum, they need care masks to keep that hair in balance. Okay, next is the maximum curl reduction, which was the bottom picture I showed earlier. This is done like a traditional keratin treatment in terms of technique. So we clarify, get the hair into the sections, apply the VitaSilk for added nourishment, apply the treatment sparingly because we're gonna blow dry it in. So we don't want excessive treatment, but even distribution. And then you wanna blow dry that treatment in. And then once the hair is dry, then you can do your passes. So in this treatment, the difference is you're blow drying the treatment in from the basic application. The basic application you process under a dryer. Oh, I don't have my dryer here. You process under a dryer and you rinse it out. This one you process in the hair by blow drying it in and then iron the treatment in on 4 to 450, 3 to 4 passes. And for maximum curl reduction, 4 to 6 passes. Once you finish your passes, then you rinse the hair very well with warm water, towel dry, apply the care mask, comb through, allow it to sit 10 minutes with or without heat, and then towel dry and then proceed to style. You can do silk press, you can do a wash and go, all depends on the end goal. So those are the difference between the techniques. One takes longer, so of course you charge more, and I'll get into pricing in just a second, because I know that's probably the big question everybody has. What are you charging for these? All right, next is the restorative cocktail, which you've heard me reference a lot of. So the restorative cocktail, which is probably our top seller in terms of techniques, it's the same products, the same system, but this is where you get to get a little, I mean, all of these services are customizations to your customers, but this particular service, the restorative cocktail, is to me like the epitome of healthy hair. So I like the fact that we're able to take this treatment and then create this conditioning cocktail that refreshes the not only the service, but even if the clients never had a treatment before, this, you will get profound results as a part of your silk press regimen. I'm servicing clients 1 to 2 days a week in the Tampa area, and this is all I'm selling right now. And I've bundled it in a service called the Signature Silk Press, because I'm not seeing weekly clients. The people who are coming to me, they're only coming to me for what I call the full Monty. They're coming to me for complete restoration. They can maintain their hair at home in between, or they may even have another stylist, but they're coming to me because they're seeing the results on my page that I'm promoting. So my Signature Silk Press is a silk press service, includes a trim, and it comes with this restorative cocktail. When I'm seeing regular clients, if I were to see regular clients, and when I did, this was the prerequisite to being serviced by me. Because I knew with the restorative cocktail, if you were a client coming from off of social media and you haven't had care, you haven't been to a salon in a long time, I already know what condition your hair is going to be in. And for me to get the best results, I need you to start here so that we fill up your hair, nourish your hair, restore your hair, protein, moisture, porosity, so that you can get the results that you saw online, and you'll be happy, and I'll be confident that I did a good job. Okay. There's no amount of heat that a flat iron can deliver that can help hair that's malnourished and unconditioned. I always say your silk press is only as good as the condition of your hair. It's under go under Taming system on the SilkOut Pro website, and it's on the drop down menu as the Taming technique guide. So what the restorative cocktail is a customized mixture of the actual treatment, which is the intense protein, and care mask, which is the intense moisture. This treatment came about because I was actually doing a live demo and I didn't have a model with natural hair. So we used a stylist who had a relaxer for the actual taming treatment. The hair came out fine, but I felt like it was lacking moisture because she already had a relaxer. It was too much protein for her hair. So the taming treatment as a standalone treatment for a relaxer client, I would not recommend, because one, their hair is already straight, and the hair structure is compromised and been changed. So after I did her hair in that class, and it had lots of body, it looked nice, but I wanted more weight on her hair and more shine. So I proceeded to continue to do my relaxer clients, and I've started to mix care masks with, let's say, about 3 parts care mask. That's how I started, 3 to 4 parts care mask to 1 part taming treatment. And I started to mix that, and the results were amazing. Like, it plumpened, filled their strands, corrected any weak areas, corrected any dry areas, and it looked amazing. And so it started out as, what could I offer my relaxer clients? They didn't need smoothing, they needed restoration. So that's why it became a restorative cocktail. And then from there, I was like, okay, what about the silk press client who this is their first visit? And then start using it on them. Outstanding results. Then I started using it on the taming clients about 8 weeks in. Then I just started using color clients. Everybody, their hair is not in good shape or not responding well, got a cocktail. And then I started to introduce it to my curly clients that were wash and go, that were coming in to get, they would come in to get like sometimes just a blow dry and a trim. And I started giving them, just to test it, I started giving them the cocktails before I would do their wash and go. And they saw a big difference in how their curls perform. Their curls look so much better. And they, well, what did you use on my hair? Why do my curls look like this now? And they didn't look like this when I do my curls. And they've texted me to say, whatever you did to my hair, my curls are looking way better. This is weeks later. So this has become the staple for everything I do. On my service menu, I offer a curl rehab service. So for my curly clients, they come in, shampoo, cocktail, rinse. If I'm going to do a shape up curly, once I rinse it out, I section it off and do the shape up curly, or I'll do a blow dry, shape up the ends, rinse it, and then style with curly, wash and go. I don't do roller sets right now. I don't have space for roller sets. So all my natural clients get wash and go. And I did her wash and go, defined her curls, and they see it looks like they got some curl softening. But what it is, they're getting all of the conditioning properties of the treatment. So they're getting the correction of the porosity, which controls frizz. That's what controls frizz more than anything, is the correction of the porosity, balancing the moisture, balancing the protein. So I have a lot of stylists, their whole menu is comprised around this service right here. They don't even do smoothing treatments. This is a top seller for them amongst their clients. And so the mixing ratios below are about 4:1 for relaxer treated hair, 4 parts Keramaster to 1 part treatment. And when I say parts, it could be, depends on how much hair you're dealing with. So if you don't have a lot of hair and you know you need about 1 ounce of treatment, 1 ounce of product to work with, you're going to do 3/4 of Keramaster and 1/4 of Taming treatment. That will give you your ounce. So you kind of got to eyeball it. So you can use teaspoons, you can use, tablespoons, you can use ounces. I would say you probably shouldn't need ounces unless you're dealing with lots of hair, because 4 ounces of Keramaster is a lot for 1 treatment, but it has been done with someone with a lot of hair. And so I charge accordingly. But on average, my mixing combination is usually about 1.5 ounces to 2 ounces, what I use on an average cocktail. But there are some heads of hair where I've used 4 ounces. So I just adjust accordingly. So on the 3:1 ratio is for dry hair or refreshing a taming treatment. The 2:1 ratio, meaning they're getting 2 parts Keramaster, 1 part treatment. So now they have a little more protein in that mixture. That's for someone whose hair is shedding. And then the 1:1 is for someone whose hair is in a 911 situation. Their hair is extremely weak and extremely damaged, and they need an equal amount of both. I rarely see that, but I have done it on relaxer clients that were damaged and needed to be cut off, where other stylists have recommended them to start over. And I was able to preserve their hair while it grew out, performing these services. And so as it grew out, now my ratio changed, because they were consistent clients. So instead of 1:1, maybe next time she was 2:1, and so on, until we grew out enough new hair to start her transition process, or just keep going with the relaxer. But most of them, they go through a transition process, and now they eventually, after about 6 months, go into a taming treatment. But I'm able to preserve the ends, the damaged hair, with this mixture right here. And so for a woman who can't wrap their head around cutting all their hair off, this is priceless. This is priceless. If it can preserve their hair and make it look good, it's priceless. And this is the service. So if you've seen us selling a SilkOut silkening treatment that we retail, it is the restorative cocktail that is pre-mixed, because we found a large portion of our consumer audience that don't have a stylist or don't visit the salon. They were looking for taming, like they see the results, but we don't sell them the taming treatment. But I have decided I have a pre-mixed version of the cocktail, so they don't get the customization, but I do a 3:1 ratio for the consumer. That's pre-mixed, and we sell it to them in 4 ounces, and they are loving the results of it. So I think some stylists ask me, well, what is the silkening treatment? Where can I? So it's you guys have because you buy the whole system, you have the ability to customize it for the customer. But when we retail it, it is just a 3:1 mixture. Okay, we're almost done. Just going through these techniques. Now, I talked about relaxer earlier. Can we get it also? just for time. It's time saving, but we only sell it to you guys for in the little kit. So it's cheaper when you mix it yourself, but it is available on the on the Pro website at the Pro price. So if you were not, or I mean, if you had a client, let's say going out of town, you are moving, or you weren't going to see them for a while, you can also, you could retail it to them as well. But I do have some stylists that they don't use a lot of taming, the whole taming system, and they buy a couple of these and it's per application. So it's $50. So they're adding that service on. That service, I'm gonna get into pricing in a minute, but just for the sake of this conversation, 4 ounces of a cocktail is at minimum at least two $50 add-on services, or 200, depends on your market. I have people that charge anywhere from $50 to $100 for a cocktail service. Okay, so the relaxer. Let's say your client is transitioning from a relaxer and she's not ready to get a taming treatment yet. She doesn't have enough regrowth, but you're trying to preserve the hair that's already there. Let's say she has 2 inches of regrowth and she has everything else is relaxer. So in that case, you would clarify her and you would apply, and in some instances, if her hair was, depending on how chemical treated, you may do 1 clarity and 1 balance, hydrate, and wash. And then you would take care mask, and wherever there was relaxer, so let's say off scalp, let's say if this was relaxer from here down, then I would take some care mask, emulsify it in my hands, and apply it to all of the relaxer hair. And that's going to create a buffer so that when you apply the taming treatment, actually, this is for someone who's ready to actually get their taming treatment, but they have a relaxer. So I'm going to apply the care mask to the relaxer hair. So now I have about, let's say this much regrowth, and I'm ready because this is too tight. I'm going to apply care mask from here down and then get it sectioned in 4. And then I'm going to apply my taming cream just on the untreated hair. Once I apply the taming cream on the untreated hair and I'm combing it through, I'm going to comb it through to the ends. This is going to create basically 2 treatments in one. So they'll have taming treatment here. And once I marry the leftover treatment, I'm not necessarily putting new taming treatment down here. Whatever excess, I'm marrying it down into here so that I'm getting the restorative benefits of the treatment to strengthen the hair. So this creates a cocktail, and this creates an actual taming treatment. So they're processing at the same time. Once that's done, I rinse the entire head. Once it's processed, 15 to 30 minutes, I rinse the entire head, then apply care mask through the entire thing again, especially the virgin area that's untreated. And once that's processed and rinsed out, then I go in with my SilkOut serum and blow dry. And then when I'm going to do my passes on my hair, so if I'm relaxer treated down here, I'm only going to do my passes in the root area. And then I'm going to go to the next section, 2, 3, however many passes, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Then I may take a larger section just to seal the cuticle. I may take a larger section after I do all of the roots and turn my iron down, and just to seal the treatment in, I'll do 1 pass on the relaxer hair just to seal that cuticle in. But I don't want to take this hair that is relaxed and do small sections and, press up. It doesn't need it. It doesn't need that heat, nor does it need, it just doesn't need that heat in smaller section. If that makes sense. Let me know if that makes sense to you guys. And so once I do my passes, then I proceed to finish my style, of course, with larger sections and less heat. All right. Okay, good. All right, we're almost done. So this is another technique, this repair and rescue. I really want to call it 911. Because I've only used this technique twice, but it really worked. And this is for someone whose hair the cuticle was just blown, and I could not, and this was a relaxer client, but this could be anybody whose hair is shedding excessively. And so I cleanse with Clarity, or you can use Balance, Hydrate, and Wash if the hair is extremely dry and it's not super soiled, and section into 4 parts. I take 1 ounce of Taming cream and 3 ounces of warm water and mix either in a bowl or a brush, but probably, a bowl or a bottle, and get it mixed up really well. So the warm water is going to help break down the cream so it can dissolve in the water. And then you can apply it over the hair and comb it through. And then you can put a plastic cap and let them sit in the dryer for 15 minutes. So this is like this is just pure protein on their hair. And after 15 minutes, I rinse, towel dry, and then apply the care mask. And then rinse that and then proceed to style. This is not a smoothing treatment. It is repair and rescue hair that's in a 911 situation. That anytime you can save hair from being cut off, you become like the god. You become the hair god. And that was a lot of my career behind a chair, was saving hair and preserving it, and them seeing the length retention. No matter how many clients went away, disappeared to go get the latest styles, they all come back when it's damaged. When, that's when they come see me. So let's say someone has locks, because I recommended this to someone who does natural hair. They had locks, and the locks were weak from doing a lot of bleaching and things to the hair. They were able to tighten it, constrict and tighten the cuticle and strengthen the hair by applying this on to the hair in a bottle onto the locks to strengthen it, to stop it from breaking. Good information. Aren't you guys glad you came this morning? We're always, so if you haven't seen this before, so this gives you another piece of arsenal in your toolbox to be able to treat yet another client that maybe wasn't, probably would have never came to see you, or you thought you couldn't treat. Because it's not about straightening hair. It's about, one, the condition and keeping it in top integrity. I'd rather be known as the healthy hair person than the quick weave person. Nothing wrong with quick weave, but when all of that is over with, there's no hair to do, then we're out of business. And that's where the wig queens come in at. And nothing wrong with wigs, but I'd rather it be an accessory and not a necessity, to where you have no option. I think if the only recourse I had was a wig, that would be a little depressing to me. But if it was an option, it's like, okay, I get to switch up. Not that, okay, which wig am I going to wear today? And I don't even feel like putting on a wig today. I've been looking at style choices. I actually want to cut my hair off and grow out all my hair salt and pepper, because I have a lot of gray hair. But I'm like, okay, that's drastic. I don't mind growing my hair out from short. I do have an issue growing it out with salt and pepper. So I'm like, what wig are you going to wear until you get enough length that you're going to style and be happy with? I just can't see myself in a wig all the time. It's not my thing. I like my hair being out and free. Okay, so these next techniques is how you can do these treatments with color. So if you do a lot of color, your clients wear color, Can they wait and come back a week or 2 weeks later? They can. Can you do it all in the same day? You can. Does it take a little more time? Yes. Do you make a lot more money? Yes. So you just have to plan for it and know that on color treatment day is gonna be a great day. You know, and you want to make sure you're charging properly for it, because this is gonna take 4 to 5 hours of your time, maybe 6. So let's talk about doing the treatment with lightener. So lightener is bleach and high lift color. So anytime you're doing bleach and high lift color, so like, I don't want to really go on any brands, but like your 11 series, 12 series, blonding creams, things that lift up 4 to 5 levels, not your deposits, but that give you, go from a level 2 to a level 7, or a level 5 to a level 10. Those are your high lift colors. You want to lighten the hair first, because we know lightener is more aggressive. So we don't want to treat the hair, condition the hair, and then go in with lightener that blows the cuticle up again. So let's go ahead and blow the cuticle up first. And then after we've lightened the hair, then, and we shampoo that out, then we can apply our treatment and start to go through the steps to process our treatment. Now, generally when you're lightening hair, you do what? You tone. Even if it's a clear, you generally tone with something to control the brass, or add fashion shade, or neutralize the color. So you want to lighten first. If you're, let's say you're doing the basic Taming technique, or you're doing a cocktail, you can lighten first, then apply your cocktail or your Taming treatment, let it process and rinse it out, then go back and towel dry, and then apply your demi, your toner, your fashion shade. Let that process as normal, rinse well. If it requires a shampoo, shampoo with the Balance Hydrating Wash, and then go back with your care mask. The care mask is going to be adding more moisture, and it's going to help seal the cuticle down. Bring that pH back. And then after you process the care with the care mask, then you rinse, SilkOut serum, blow dry. If it's a cocktail, you do your style. If it's an actual Taming treatment, then you blow dry and do your passes. But the key thing here is to lighten first, because you don't want to go behind the treatment with lightener. And let's say if they were not doing it the same day, if it's a regular client who comes at least twice a month, then you can, if they wanted to split it up, they should get their lightening service first, and then 2 weeks later or a week later come back for their treatment. But I've had clients that were like, they only come in for all of this in one day. Rhonda said, testimony, my client's fashion shade green didn't bleed after a Taming service. However, before the green was on everything, she was, oh, that's good, because sometimes the Taming, the color, and this is going on to the next one, when you do deposit color, if you do deposit first, the treatment can remove some of the color. But yeah, I think what could helping constrict the cuticle reduces the bleeding of the color. Okay, so the first one I explained for lightening is to lighten first and then treat. But tone after you treat, because you don't want to lighten and tone. Can I do this using rinse color? Yeah, so I'm going to talk about rinse colors now, Angelina. So permanent color or semi-permanent. So semi-permanent is the rinse colors or direct deposit. That's your Adore, Beautifuls. Anything that comes straight out of the bottle or straight out of the tube onto the hair is your semi. Then you have your permanent and your demis. So permanents and demis you mix with the peroxide or activator. So those are all considered deposit still. And they're not as aggressive as lightener. So when you're, especially for covering gray, you want to clarify and do your treatments first. So you want to clarify, get your treatment on, rinse your treatment off. You have two options. You can rinse the treatment off, towel dry, and then apply your demi. But sometimes if, let's say if you're doing the maximum curl reduction, you can actually apply your treatment, blow dry your treatment in. And if you're doing permanent coverage of gray hair, like level 1 through 4 or 5, once you blow dry the treatment in, apply your permanent color, because you're putting the color on top of the treatment. The molecules of the treatment is so small that where it's kind of like an ionic attraction. So the disulfide bonds, the color doesn't penetrate the disulfide bonds. It changes them, and it's on the top layer inside the cortex. But where the treatment, where the sugar cysteine is going, it's going to go underneath where color goes. So what happens is if you cover your clients with a 2N and you're like, okay, she's nice and dark and covered, now I'm going to do the treatment. When you go to do the treatment, it doesn't know that you need that client's hair color. It goes beneath the color, and it's going to push a little bit of it out. So when you go to do the treatment and you're rinsing the treatment, it's going to look like a 4N. And then they're going to be like, oh, my gray didn't take. And it's not that the gray didn't take, it took. But where the treatment lives is beneath color. So it's going to work its way into those nooks and crannies and push that color out. And it's going to look 1 to 2 shades lighter. It's great when you've went too dark. Like my roots are actually too red, so I'm going to do a cocktail, and that's going to help pull some of that off. So you don't want to have to go back and color the client's hair after you do the treatment with the demi. I've had to do that several times. So now I just treat first. And whether I'm doing the basic application or the maximum curl reduction, I treat first. If I'm blow drying the treatment in, then after I blow dry it in, I don't do my passes. I go ahead and do my permanent coverage. And then after the color processes, then I rinse and shampoo it out. Then I come back with my hydrating wash for light shampoo, then my care mask, and then I come back and do my passes. I blow dry and do my passes and do the finish. Now, if you had a maximum curl reduction client that was really adamant about curl reduction, you could actually blow dry the treatment in and do the passes. And then apply the deposit color, the permanent color for gray. Then once that's all shampooed out, come back, do the care mask, and proceed to style. Did that make sense? You're welcome, Angelina. Is it more time consuming? Yes, but if somebody is getting permanent hair color, I don't know what the rate, you guys' rate is, $100, $150. They're getting a Taming treatment, $300 or $350. You know, it's a nice amount of your time. Okay, and so even with the cocktail, some instances the cocktail can reduce. Like I had a client come in Saturday. She colored her hair at home. She came in for a signature silk press. I applied the cocktail. She colored her hair with like a 2N. So it kind of looked like a 3N when we finished, but it wasn't bad, as if she just got a full treatment. Yeah, it could be your only client that day, maybe 2. If you work with an assistant, you probably could do 3, because a lot of it is at the bowl. So if you work with a really good assistant, they could be doing a lot of the rinsing, processing, rinsing. You know, you come and apply your color, and then you can go back and finish a silk press while that color processes, and then they can shampoo the color off and apply the care mask. And so you can still move around. But if you only work solo, like right now I work solo, it would be my one client for the day. Maybe two. I probably would squeeze in one. Okay, so those are the techniques, you guys. What was that? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's enough to service anybody, any texture, depending on what the end goal is. And that's why the consultation is so important, to see what is the end goal. What do they like about their hair? What do they don't like about their hair? What do they wish their hair can do? Oh, I wish my curls hung more. Yes, this will be recorded, Rhonda. I'm going to host it into, I'm going to put it on the website once it's processed. And so the recommended retail, we're right at the end. I want to go over the retail and then the pricing, so you guys are clear on your pricing. So of course we recommend, if you retail, our balance wash and conditioner for maintenance, the care mask for moisture, and then of course our styling products. If they're coming to see you on a regular basis, then you want to explain at the top that the cocktail is the recommended service to maintain, the life of that treatment, so that they get the most out of that treatment. It's you wouldn't buy a Mercedes and then go to Jiffy Lube, when you want to take your Mercedes to the dealer so that you're getting dealer recommended oils, parts, and things of that nature to maintain your car. So it's an investment. So when it comes to pricing, let's talk about pricing. When it comes to pricing, the consumer is making an investment in their hair. It's just like, I feel like it's like buying health insurance. It's like buying hair insurance. So if they're getting a cocktail every 10 to 12 weeks, that's at least 4 to 5 times a year, they're investing into the health and the longevity of their hair. If they're getting Taming treatments, they're investing into their hair at a higher level. So it needs to be someone who is interested in maintaining that, because as soon as something goes wrong, I had a stylist call me a couple weeks ago, and she says the client said the Taming treatment changed her hair, and she's been wanting to talk to her about it. Well, she hasn't been in since August or September, October. I think it was August. She said she hasn't seen that client since August, and the client never denoted that there was a problem since August. And so she wanted my advice. I said, well, first of all, I would bring her into my chair, because she's already denoted that this treatment changed my hair. I think there's something wrong. Well, in August, you don't have any of the conditioning properties on it anymore. And that's probably what she's missing. It does not feel the same as it did in August. And so I told her, one, you want to get the client in your chair for a consultation. You don't know if she's had excessive heat, color, medications, or what she may have going on. So you want to take control of the conversation by getting her in your chair so that you can diagnose her, not her calling to tell you what she thinks is wrong with her hair and what you can do about it. You want to take control of those conversations. And so I said, until she sits in your chair, you can't even discuss, because you won't even know what's going on with her hair just based on what she's telling you. And what I know about the product, it only changes people's hair for the better. I just have not seen anyone's hair damaged. And I've used a lot of other proteins, and I've seen some hair loss. I've seen some hair be dry. I've seen some hair breakage. I just have not had it myself, or any of the hundreds of clients I've done, or the stylists. I just have not had an issue if it's done properly and maintained. And even if someone goes away from it and they not using the treatment after a year, it doesn't leave that much of a demarcation where you have to worry about it breaking off. It's something that's easy to grow out if they decide, oh, okay, I don't want to get that anymore. So it's not that detrimental. So your pricing, you guys inbox me a lot about pricing, what to charge, when to charge. And these are all starter prices. You can totally, I mean, you guys know your worth, your value, what you bring to the table, your expertise. I mean, your books and your work should speak for itself. Your demand should speak for itself. And then, but things that we take into consideration is hair density, length, and time, and amount of product being used, and the technique that you're gonna use. And so these are some ballpark prices. The restorative cocktails, I feel like should start at least 75 and up. You may have someone with 2 inches of hair. I had a young lady last week. Her daughter booked her service. It was actually, she booked the signature silk press. But when she actually, no, she put the curl rehab, which is $200 on my menu. So it comes with a cocktail, trim, and a curly cut, and a cocktail, and a wash and go style. Well, when she got there, she only had an inch of hair, maybe an inch and a half of hair. So I didn't use a lot of cocktail, and she opted out of the cut. It was already short. So I ended up charging her $150, because it was still my time and product. But there are some cases, if you're a la carting it, it could be $50 on a small amount of hair. But the average 75 and up. Yeah, 75 and up. Most stylists I know that using the product getting 75. Some are still doing 50, adding on, but 75. And in some cases, if you find yourself using whole 4 ounces on one head of hair, that's at least $100, because that's a lot of product. The repair and rescue with the water and the treatment, diluted, at least $75, added on to whatever, shampoo and style. Curl softening, shorter hair starts at $150 and up. I mean, it depends on how much hair you're curl softening. It could still be $200 and $250. It's just a different technique based on what they want. But when I say $150, you're probably looking at someone that's maybe like 3 or 4 inches of hair. It's kind of be like a texturizer for them. And you're not doing a silk press. So the curl softening is priced without the silk press. That's more of a wash and go, because ideally the curl softening client is not looking for heat, styling heat. The basic Taming treatment, the basic application, the general application, some start at $250 and up, some start at $300, depending on how much hair. Max curl reduction starts at $350 and up, because it's definitely a lot more work. I've done it up to, depending on the hair I've dealt with, up to $450 with a client. And then when you're doing these, when you want to know how to gauge, it's about $50. Your retail price on the treatment itself, this is including using the care mask, is about $50 an ounce. So if you start off doing a treatment at $250 and you've already allotted for 1.5 ounces, maybe 2 ounces in that treatment, then you realize you need another ounce because of the density of their hair, then that's where the additional $50 comes on. That's why I don't take from the jar, so I don't cross-contaminate, but I pull out just enough treatment based on what I think their hair needs. I'd rather use less than more, and then go back and get more when I need it. One, it lets them visually see that I needed more treatment. And, to me, it's a more professional look. And then with all of my high lift colors, even if they're not getting smoothing treatments, my high lift colors and bleaching, I incorporate a cocktail into my pricing. So anytime I do bleaching or high lift color, I immediately mix a cocktail and add it into my color service, because the results are astounding. And then you can add a cocktail onto a relaxer service or build it into a relaxer service. Some of you guys have customized service menus, so it may not say cocktail, but it may, I see a lot of different things on service menus. So like I just booked my first relaxer for Tampa, and it includes a cocktail. It's all wrapped up into the price. And it's $200, I believe. It's $200. Relaxer, cocktail, and a shape up. So everything is up. The price of everything in the world, is up, and we have to make sure that, we're delivering good product, good results. As long as they're maintaining their hair, protecting their hair, keeping their hair on their head, it's not a, it's priceless, So you can find these common FAQs on the, if you go download them, these are questions that consumers ask, or people ask, can it be used on children? What happens if my scalp tingles? That's the alpha hydroxy acid. It is acidic. So if they have cuts or sensitive skin, it can tingle. It's not a relaxer. So it's not the relaxer burn. It doesn't damage the skin. It's actually, they use alpha hydroxy acid in skincare. It's just, we ask that you apply it off scalp, or if it does touches their scalp and they feel a tingle, you can just take a towel and wipe that area off. And it goes away. So you can check this out on the website. I highly recommend you download it so that you'll have it for your reference. Or you can always just log into your account and go to that page, and you can swipe through anytime you want to get a quick refresher, or you have a question about something. Yeah, my roots, my gray pull really red. So I'm gonna do a little cocktail down there to pull some of that red off, because I don't like it's too red. All right, you guys, any questions you have about the products or services? Fatima said, wow, I'm undercharging for my cocktails. Yes. Yes, time to revamp that menu.
Question on the retail aspect of what they would need if they're coming in for just curl softening, or not even maximum, just curl softening, and yeah, I guess that would be it. What would be the retail, I guess? Is it a trio with the shampoo and the conditioner for them at home?
Yeah, that's what we recommend: the balance washing conditioner and the SilkOut serum at minimum when they're gonna. So if they're a curly person, they're probably shampooing once, maybe even twice a week. I know I shampoo it probably twice a week when I'm curly. So you just want to reinforce the importance of staying within the system. And if you're not going to see them on that much of a regular basis, maybe even the care mask is something that when it starts to feel a little dry, they can reinforce it with the care mask. Good question. Hey, Ursula. Any other questions, you guys? This was good information. Did you guys find value in this information, new and old? Justina?
Absolutely amazing.
Okay. And so I'm constantly trying to break it down and simplify it so that you guys can simplify it to your consumer. Because sometimes it's hard, you're trying to sell it, and we sell through educating our consumers. So when you have a better understanding of it, then you can better explain it to your customer and be in this position of authority when it comes to hair care, because they're always trying to give us, what they heard and seen. But we know, and so we just want to make sure that we're giving them the facts and dropping a little science on them, because that dropping a little science on them so that you can confirm, this is what happens, and this is what's going to happen, and this is what the expectation is, and this is what is recommended, versus, them telling you. If your clients are telling you what should be going on, then you're not in your position of authority with your credentials. And that's never going to end well, because they'll be constantly suggesting and you'll be going down a rabbit hole, and that's not where you want to be. So this product is positioned to put you at the forefront of hair care. And you know, they you're the go-to person, you're the authority on hair. And no matter what message or information is out here in the world, we can maintain our position as professional. We're giving, I like to call it, we're in the world of influencers now. So basically anybody can pick up a product and be like, and they can just have really long hair, and everybody wants really long hair, these eccentric curls. They can pick up anything and they're like, oh, you know, this works on my hair, and buy it. And if they got 10,000 followers, it's sold. Nobody's fact checking, nobody's making sure it really worked. It's just they're mesmerized and they're influenced. But I like to call us licensed profluencers. You're getting professional. I'm not just telling you information, I'm telling you information that I know, and I hold a professional license in this space. So that's why they should listen to you. But if they're coming to you, then they already trust you. But sometimes we have to reinforce that. And so I just wanted to make sure I keep the verbiage. When I'm studying and doing my homework, I'm like, okay, let me explain this different. Let me simplify this so that it makes it easier for you guys to re-communicate. So any notes you took today, you know, go back and study them, and, you know, shorten it or put your own spin on it so that it's in your language, so that when you're speaking to your customers about it or speaking to them about why they should get a cocktail, you know, it's coming from an authentic place. Even though I hear some of the stylists that they've been, actually my mom used to go to a SilkOut Pro, and she'd be like, she sounds just like you. She says everything you said. I said, that's because she took all the classes. So that's why I was like, you know, let me do, you know, let's get back to certification. Yes, she said, Rhonda said that helps because they want to explain. There's a lot of information out here for them. So they've already been looking at a tons of videos, you know. So when you can explain it to them and they feel like, okay, I can trust her, she knows what she's talking about, I'm ready to swipe my card, you know, go ahead and do it. It makes a world of difference, and it makes selling the service much easier. Once you sell the service the first time and they get the results, they're locked in, they become a customer for life. All right, so if there's no more questions, this video process, I'll announce when it's up in the, I'll put it on the website so you guys can take a look at the replay. And any questions? If not, you guys enjoy the rest of your day. We're gonna have a lot more lives and Zooms coming. I kind of got a late start at the beginning of the year, revamping a few things that I'll be sharing with you guys soon, and working some things out. And the new
question. I did think of a question, Tammy.
Yes.
To purchase product, just go in on my account.
Yes.
I did go in and registered in the account because I did take the certification. You probably don't remember. I actually met you.
I premiered. I remember.
Yes, you
Yeah.
remember. Girl, listen, I gotta say, I can kick myself in the tail because I have slept on the product longer than I should. And I was getting my, you know, my notifications email. I'm like, oh my God, I have not taken my certification. And I did it actually late last night, to tell you the truth. Yeah.
Okay.
So this was extra because this was like icing on the cake. So I guess going forward, because I think at the show I purchased like 2 of the silk, the big kit. And then I did the silk press kit. I think I had 2 of those and 2 of the blow brushes, which you talked me into the blow brush. And that was amazing because I was like, girl, I do. And you're like, no. And for my kids, it has been a game changer. Yeah. I'm having an issue with one of them though, but I'll reach out to you separately on that. But so I can just go on the site and put in my order for the, you know, the larger sizes.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Great. Thank you so much. It's so good to see you. Are you doing premiere this year?
I am not doing premiere this year. I actually want to, I'm putting together, and I need to consult with a few people. I want to do just some in-salon stuff.
Awesome.
Yeah. Premiere is fine, but it's so fast and it's so noisy. and it's just a lot. So this year I actually want to kind of go on tour. I want to set up some in salon locations and just hit the
Oh,
ground.
we definitely got to talk then.
Yeah,
Awesome. And please note, we will come to Tampa.
oh, okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. So I guess got to identify some locations and put a schedule together, because now that COVID is over, we're all out moving
Yeah.
now. I'm ready to get back to some in salon. I built it on in salon, and so I'm ready to get back in salons.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Your level of education is amazing.
Thank you.
It's so needed. And you have even excited me even the more, because you know I've been in the game just as long as you. And it's like, girl. But
Yeah.
this is a new baby for me, and I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Yeah, if it wasn't for this treatment, I wouldn't do hair. I wouldn't be doing what everybody else is, what's trending right now. I wouldn't be doing anything that's trending. It wasn't for treatments and healthy, being able to serve up healthy hair, I would have retired. I actually almost retired 10 years ago, 30
Yeah.
years ago.
Well, thank God you didn't.
Yeah, until I saw the first keratin treatment I saw was like, whoa, what, okay, show me that again. You know, and once they showed it to me, I was like, okay, this is my lane. I was like, I can do this right here.
Yeah. Well, thanks again. Thank you so much, and be blessed as you are, my dear.
Thank you. Gigi said, you're ready for the in-salon? So Gigi, hey, you girls from the Bahamas. So would you guys meet me in Miami or somewhere, Fort Lauderdale somewhere?
I'm in Orlando.
Gigi?
Yes, ma'am.
When'd you get in Orlando?
I moved back from Tampa probably.
Oh, wait a minute. Oh, you know what? I'm thinking we have a Gigi in Nassau, Bahamas. Okay. So we have two Gigis.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So you're in Orlando, you said?
Yes, right off in Winter Park.
Okay.
I have a suite.
Okay, so yeah, everybody has a suite. So I need salons to do in-salon demos for. So if you guys have any suggestions, please make some recommendations, and definitely I want to get on the road when I come back. I'm going to town a little bit at the end of the month, but by March, I want to do at least, like, starting in March, I want to start to do like a few locations between, over, like Houston is definitely on the map for places that I'm going. We have a lot of traffic in Houston. So I want to move around South Florida, Central Florida. The space is wide open for that. So I definitely want to get going. Who else? So have you used the product, Gigi? Fort Lauderdale, Justina? Okay. Because you guys can just catch the ferry over. Yeah, that would be great. Okay. All right, you guys. So if there's no more questions, I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to let this video process. If you have any questions, by all means, email me, info@silkoutpro.com. I kind of consider this a kickoff for 2023 coming up for air. And like I said, I have some things that I have been working on, some opportunities. Oh, formation. Formation is the only thing I'm waiting on. It should have shipped to me Friday. I was told it was shipped to me Friday. That's the only product I'm waiting on. So I need to make that phone call when I get off of here, because I haven't heard from them at all yet. But I did look in the production schedule. I'm able to see it. It said it's completed. So it should be on its way to me. Hopefully I should be getting it by Thursday or Friday, Rhonda. Okay, so you guys be great. Have a great rest of your day. And like I said, if you know a salon that can host a space, 10 people, whatever, a nice intimate setting. So, this information is one thing, and this is great information, but seeing and touching and seeing the results and the techniques in action is game changing, very, very game changing. So I want to come to Philly. I've never been to Philly before, so let's make it happen, And so we can, you know, grow in the space. One of our biggest issues with our manufacturers is this year is this, that we're a little bit too small for them. So they put us on the back burner on a lot of things. So this year I just want to grow so we can increase our volume and get in their good graces. So you can't send the pre-order. It should be available. I'll go double check and see what the issue is, Justina, and I'll let you know. All right, you guys be great. Thank you for joining me this morning. Thank you for your continued support and for your new supporters, Gigi. I thought you were out of Nassau, but Orlando is just fine. And that's right down the street. So hopefully we will connect soon. So I will talk to you guys and have a blessed rest of your day. All right, bye-bye.